Without warning, Kim Taehyung finally spoke up, not through a lengthy statement or exclusive interview, but through an act more meaningful than words, his deliberate presence amid the wave of rumors surrounding Jungkook. The public was in uproar. While many were awaiting clarification from management or an official statement from HYBE regarding Jungkook's increasingly mysterious independent steps, it was Taehyung who acted first. Was this a form of silent support? Or a signal that something bigger is happening behind the scenes of K-pop? This question tore through the curiosity of many fans, as it came just as news of Jungkook's solo movements was heating up again. HYBE, previously rumored to be absent in promoting Jungkook's recent activities, has yet to offer a significant response. But Taehyung's move triggered another interpretation. Could it be that BTS members understand each other more deeply than what is shown on the surface? And if it's true that Taehyung chose to speak through his presence at a strategic place and unusual time, who is the message really for? In recent weeks, the entertainment world has been shaken by a series of visual signals and silent actions linked to Jungkook's artistic independence. From global collaborations seemingly curated beyond the agency's scope, to public appearances without HYBE's official branding, all of it forms a new narrative. Jungkook is walking a different path, a path not always aligned with corporate decisions. And in the midst of that storm, a light appeared. Taehyung is no longer silent. Industry analysts noted that Taehyung's gesture wasn't a spontaneous emotional reaction, but a calculated move. He didn't say a single word in the media, yet his presence at independent art events associated with Jungkook was enough to shake the internal dynamics of BTS and HYBE. Many see this act as a sign of artist-to-artist solidarity, not idle to management. What's more surprising is that while the public awaited a voice from the agency, HYBE chose silence. No confirmation, no denial, not even issue deflection as commonly seen in media crises. This silence has been met with frustration and suspicion by many, especially after visual evidence emerged showing some of Jungkook's promotional activities did not involve HYBE's infrastructure at all. From photo shoot locations, music producers, to distribution methods, all point to one thing: autonomy. In this context, Taehyung's appearance is not merely a symbol of personal support, but also an ideological statement. He showed that BTS members' presence in the industry is no longer bound by managerial constraints that limit their creative direction. It is a silent defense of Jungkook's right to shape his own artistic narrative, free from the interventions long accepted as standard operating procedures in the K-pop industry. Interestingly, just as fans began to speculate about internal rifts, Taehyung's actions suggest that member solidarity may in fact be stronger than ever. He did not share ambiguous messages or stir sympathy with sentimental words. Instead, he appeared amidst works associated with Jungkook, stood without pretense, and signaled that he knows and chooses to stand there. What makes this situation even more dramatic is the public's reaction to HYBE. Instead of calming the speculation, the company's decision to remain silent has only broadened the space for interpretation. Some fans view this as a neglect of Jungkook, or even an abdication of responsibility. Others suspect HYBE is devising a new strategy yet to be revealed to the public, one that perhaps no longer places them at the center of BTS members' solo careers. The situation grows more complex when we realize that the grand narrative of K-pop is undergoing a paradigm shift. In the past, agencies held absolute control over artists' images, works, and decisions. Now, artists like Jungkook, quietly supported by figures like Taehyung, are paving the way for a freer, more individualistic work model, no longer rooted in a one-way hierarchy. The biggest surprise of all may not lie in Taehyung's actions themselves, but in their timing and courage. At a critical phase in each BTS member's solo career following military service and agency restructuring, Taehyung still chose to show where his heart lies. Not through political discourse, not through hidden agendas, just a single symbolic gesture that created global resonance. Now, the world waits for two things. Will HYBE remain silent? And more importantly, will Taehyung's move mark the beginning of a new wave where BTS artists are not only stars but absolute owners of their own narrative? If so, then it's not just BTS history that's changing, but the history of K-pop itself. Yet at this point, a crucial question must be asked of all of us. Are we seeing a reflection of reality, or merely a string of narratives systematically crafted to create the illusion of conflict, resistance, and independence? Considering how much information now comes from social media like TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and other channels, not all of which are journalistically verified, how much can we trust the narratives that are developing? Indeed, Taehyung showed up, and his presence seemed to imply something greater. But is he consciously sending a message of support to Jungkook? Or are we, emotionally bound to BTS's dynamics, overinterpreting his actions due to a hunger for drama and internal conflict? It's important we reflect. Are these events real because there's undeniable evidence? Or is this reality, shaped by fans' collective desire to see a certain narrative come true? In the age of social media, where every gesture can be twisted into a political statement, nothing is truly neutral. Could it be that this is all just a play of symbols, consciously used to shape public perception? Further, we must also ask, is HYBE's silence truly a form of neglect? Or is it a calculated communication strategy to preserve image, avoid open conflict, and await the right moment to present their own narrative? When a company as large as HYBE chooses not to respond directly to such a major issue, should we see them as guilty for their silence? Or is it precisely that silence which allows them to control the tide of public opinion? Meanwhile, Taehyung's stance opens a wide room for interpretation. Has his silence all this time been a form of non-involvement, or the deepest empathy toward Jungkook's quiet struggle? And when he appeared in the middle of the controversy, was it purely a gesture of solidarity, or a symbolic maneuver with elements of personal image management? We live in an era where reality and illusion can be nearly indistinguishable. So when we read this article, or watch the analyses circulating on YouTube, or view viral clips on TikTok, it's important to ask ourselves, am I witnessing facts, or being served a narrative crafted to draw attention? Undeniably, fans are a major force in shaping the direction of discourse. But with that power comes great responsibility. The duty to think critically, refrain from baseless speculation, and avoid spreading unverified information. For if we're not careful, we may become part of a mass production of misleading opinion. Do we really know that HYBE has abandoned Jungkook in his latest projects? Or are we merely reading signals that may not mean the same thing behind the scenes? Could it be, in fact, that all of this is part of a long-planned independent project launch strategy, with HYBE's role intentionally concealed to create shock value? Likewise, Taehyung's seemingly intentional appearance could have multiple meanings. Did he show up as a friend, a fellow artist, or a pawn in a greater narrative crafted by other entities behind the industry? Did he know his presence would spark such speculation? Or is he using this moment as a form of control over the message he wants to convey? We must realize the entertainment industry is never fully transparent. Every bit of information released to the public often undergoes curation, editing, even narrative construction. Therefore, as viewers and observers, we have a responsibility not to instantly trust every viral piece of information simply because it's repeated across TikTok accounts or emotionally unpacked in YouTube vlogs. Is it possible this article itself, though intended as critical analysis, is also trapped in the flow of speculation? Are we unpacking facts, or amplifying the illusion created by algorithms and market expectations? These are not easy questions to answer, but they must still be asked. We have compiled this article based on various open sources and social media, which are currently the main channels for information dissemination. But we also acknowledge that not all these sources can serve as the foundation of absolute truth. Therefore, we do not claim that all information herein has been thoroughly verified. The main purpose of this article is to invite readers and viewers to think more deeply, not rush to believe narratives, and prioritize healthy skepticism in following every new development. Now, we return the question to you, BTS's devoted followers and readers. Do you believe this event truly happened as it appears? Or is this all part of an entertainment industry dynamic adept at creating drama? Are we witnessing a historic moment of Jungkook's artistic independence? Or partaking in a sophisticated media experiment? Does Taehyung really take a side? Or is he merely an empty symbol filled with meaning by all of us, without him ever intending it. Share your thoughts. Dare to think critically, filter information, and resist narratives that may not be true. Because behind every story, there is always a question. Who created it? For whom? And for what purpose?